Hello, thank you so much. This is the second part of this class, and previously we've been taking time to talk about what is going to make our design stand out. And the truth of the matter is we've learned a lot of things about colors, a lot of things about softwares and all whatnot, this and that. But we failed to understand the major thing, the major item that really contributes to making our designs stand out. Basically it's the foundation, the basic thing, the number one thing we should all consider before taking our step or diving into the design. Okay, so even if you don't know design, if you've not done design at all, if I show you this is the way you put this and put this and put this, it's going to come out professional. You are definitely going to do outstanding projects with your design. And if I also tell you that before you start off a design, you might need to do a little of research before you actually kick off any design. It's very key. It's very important. You need to know what people have done before and how you can really improve on it. Then you need to also study so that you will know the differences, you will understand the differences, what makes one design different from another, and what makes different publications in different times and in different years pop up. Why? You ask questions why. Don't limit yourself to some of the extravagant things you see on social media and on the internet, show you how to make someone fly, how to do this, how to do that, how to do that. They are all good, but trust me, those are not the foundation of design. And some of the things we try to figure out ourselves are already systematic. There are things you can, if you settle down, you can really grab within seconds, like I'm talking. This same class, a lot of people will really charge for it, but we are giving some of these things out because we believe there are a lot of us that might not have all the opportunity to actually get some of these things. Yesterday after the first class, I was discussing one of the students, after the class, I told him that this class, is one of the most trivialized, but it is one of the most important. It is the, in fact, most important item. He sent me a link, which maybe I will ask him to send to you guys so that you study, more about layouts and stuff like that. But for the purpose of this class, I really want you to pay more attention and take it very seriously. For now, you might not understand, you might not grasp in full, but follow and apply all the principles I'm about to talk about in this second part of the class. So thank you so much for tuning in once again. Can we just dive in? So first of all, I want to, haven't talked about the grids and how you can make use of them. I want to reiterate on it again. This is Photoshop. I'm using Photoshop CC 2019. So if you are new to Photoshop, I would advise you to check out our videos on how to find your way around Photoshop. Subsequent times, if you send your questions and requests, we'll promise to make videos to answer your questions in this same channel. So if you go and create a new, I'm going to create a new layer, hitting Ctrl N, and I'm going to use 6 by 6 inches and the 300 resolution. I'm going to put it on RGB and white background, 8 bits, and I hit OK. So it's bringing me to a new page. First of all, I'm going to show you how to bring out your grid. Okay, how to bring out your grid. So there are a lot of ways to do that, but first of all, you go to view. In most softwares, they are on view. You go to view, you're gonna see rulers and stuff. Okay, someone asked a question yesterday talking about he doesn't make use of grids, he makes use of rulers. Yeah, grids and rulers are very important, but there's something about grid. Grid gives you the skeleton, the skeletal framework, and helps you frame your stuff, in such a way that when you pull out the grid, you'll be satisfied and it's going to look good. Rulers are very good, measure out your stuff and all that, but just to use hit a button gets you to your grid, and just a button takes off your grid. You might not need rulers and all that at all times. So, but rulers are also good if you want to do other adjustments and alignment, that is off the grid. okay, you can get your rulers out and use it and work on it. So there's nothing much or nothing more to this. If you are a new designer, if you are new in this skill, just have it at the back of your mind that is already there in the software which I'm about to show you right now. So go to view, you see on Photoshop, you have you go to your show, you're going to see grid, which is control comma, the quotation comma, the first quotation comma, just one quotation comma, control comma, or you just hit on grid, it pulls out the grid on the screen for you. So I wish you can see this. You're going to be seeing the grids. And first thing I want to talk about, talking about grid, is first thing you need to do is to observe margins. Okay, observe margins. Know where your margins start. Do not design into the margin. Okay, there are exceptions to this, but first of all, have it at the back of your mind. Do not design to the margin. So I'm going to talk about the exceptions. First thing I did in the previous video is that I created a square of the first grid. The square of the first grid by hitting the square create shape button. The tool here, I created a rectangle and dragged it to the first margin. So this is where rulers are also important. So you hit Ctrl R to get out your rulers. So I can use drag my ruler and place it at the first, the last end of this, and bring my ruler from the top and place at the last end of this. Then I will get this duplicated by hitting Ctrl J, and I'll put it right here. Then I will do the same thing, pick my rulers and drop, and pick my ruler and drop. Now this area, I'm going to draw a square here, assuming this is the area my designs are going to focus. So this square at the center, assume to be the area my design is going to focus on. So these edges are called the margin. Okay, the margin. So you can remember when you wrote some certificate exams, you were told not to write on the margin, okay, on your script. So this area is called the margin. Okay, you don't design anything into it. Okay, you can as well, you can place pictures and the pictures cuts across it, but for design it is prohibited. You don't put your text at the margin. Okay, it's in rare occasions, which I have some occasions like that. Let me keep my my bridge open so I can open up some occasions like that where I did that, but I tried to balance it out and see how it goes, you know, when you are doing a proper design and not a typography. So now you must also pay attention to structure. Okay, if I move things out to my margin, for example, I stretch this out and I move this out to my margin, perhaps I keep it here. Okay, let me keep this here. Let me keep this here or here. Yeah, sorry. Okay, let me do this. So I push this out, and structure demands I can as well pull it out, you know, and maybe put it by this angle, right? So it looks like I'm having a continuation. These are the cases where you can cut out your design, you know, because you're having a continuation somewhere. It's a style of design, a style of typography. If you go into the depth of typography, there are some cases that turn it upside down. You can have it turned upside down and facing this way. Okay, facing this way, which is pretty all right. So, but this, by the way, I can talk a whole lot on this. So I need you to understand where your margin stands for and things you don't do on your margin. Okay, in rare occasions you can jump into it, but you don't get your text and your design jumping out of this space until you are done your design. Few things are allowed to fall into that space on very rare occasion, and I've already made an explanation on the previous video on how you can actually pull things on it by creating another focus that has its own margin of breathing space where those things can align. By that only we can advise, okay, we can say you can now put something close to the margin. Because in printing, if you are to print the object, even if you are not to print the object, in the mind assumes that that area is meant to be cut out. What if it cuts out by the end of the day? So let's move forward. So this place is your margin, you mind what you do. So these are the grids, these lines that goes across these places are the grids, and in between each line we call them gutters. Okay, we'll call them gutter, in between each line. But these lines right now are, they are kind of straight, because the computer assumes that you know what you want to do. You can structure every other thing by yourself. So, but I normally advise people, when you have a square like this, it's good to divide it into 3 portions to observe the rule of third, which is one powerful rule of composition, the rule of third. Let me push this up a little. So this part of the design is your rule of third, is your third, where you place your whatever, place stuff there. This part of the design as well is the third part of this whole layout. You can place things there as well. I'm using a very simpler term so that guys that are beginning will understand. So these areas you can place things, or at the center, rule of odds. Okay, when you have 2 things, it's good to have one thing at the center of it. So this is still the third, okay, from the center. So we still have the left and the right empty. You can place things, so by the right and by the left you can place things there, but you don't place things, especially objects and stuff, in between those 2 lines. You can decide to choose the 2 grids, the 2 out of the 3 major grids, fat grids, and place all your objects there, and decide to write your text by the other side of the design. You can put it at the center, it can cover a massive space here, and you can place other objects by the side. Okay, so having done this now, I'm about to go through these things, and I've shown you with a design I want to show you right now. I want to show you one of the designs I got on the internet. I think we can walk over. So with this design, I can really explain to you all the difficulties. Now, someone asked me a question: if you're trying to bring in a photo to your Photoshop, if you've been using Photoshop, and it gives you this error message, what are you going to do? So this is it. My own just did it right now, so I'm going to use the opportunity to talk about it. So he said could not complete your request because it is not the right kind of document. It's because you downloaded it somewhere somehow. So you just right click on the image, click on edit, right click on image, click on edit, and just hit save. Do not do any other adjustment. So drag and place back to your Photoshop, and okay, it's still giving us the wrong message. So I believe it's really a wrong kind of image. Let's try it again, and this time if it doesn't work, I'll just expand it and use it for this class. Okay, still gives us the error message. But if you have issues like this, maybe you downloaded a picture from WhatsApp and stuff, try that method. I'm sure it's going to work. Okay, while this picture is loading, first of all, the less of colors, the picture is out. Right now, this is a very wonderful design, a plain background, nice background, and the rest of them, less of colors and stuff. But can you see that it's breaking the rule of margin? Okay, it's designing into the margin while every other thing are inside the margin. Look at the bottom. Okay, look at the bottom part of this. It looks as if the text is cutting out of the design, which is very improper. And look at this side, join us for whatever, it is very, very improper. So we are going to do a little walk over this and see how it looks. First of all, these are the elements we have on the design, which is the first thing I talked about in the previous videos I've recorded in this channel, how to break down designs and work with them. Take out the things individually. What do you see? First of all, I can see a rectangle at this point. I can see 2 other rectangles, and I can see a white space. I can see some lens flare. I can see the hand and the Bible. I can see the luxury flowers. and I can see the circles and stuff like that. So I'll quickly show you how I will recompose this entire artwork with the same elements that this guy have here. So first of all, let's go download the person's hand. Okay, let's go download the hand. Let's say hand praying and Bible, right? Hand praying and Bible. So we'll have a hand praying and a Bible. So I think it will be good. Let's use something different, something quite different. Though this one had a watermark, okay, but we can just make use of it for the purpose of this class. Okay, downloaded it. So I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go get it into my design, just like that. Okay, this is the place we have layouts. We're trying to explain stuff, so I want to turn these layers off, and I'm going to put on this guy somewhere. Okay, I want him to cover the upper part of my layout, so having him done this, let me consider the colors I'm going to use. Now I'm still going to maintain their colors, but this time around it's going to be just 2 of the colors, and the rest are going to be history. White is already enough here, you can just walk over it. So I'm going to mix the bluish purple and the orange color, at the top and the bottom of the design. So first of all, the top part of the design, which is very important. I need to let you know this, that your background is very, very important in your design. Okay, your background must not be very busy, it mustn't be too busy. Okay, it should be able to be simple enough to communicate. I'm going to go to gradient to communicate simplicity at the maximum point, and I'm going to arrange the orange gradient and mix it with my yellow gradient. So what I'm doing is just to pull the gradients together, select the first node, add some colors, select the second node, add some colors, and that's that. I will hit OK. Okay, so secondly, I'm going to hit on Ctrl J to duplicate that layer. I'm going to create another. This is the second rectangle. I want it to be half. I'm going to create another layer, another gradient. I will click on the FX panel by the bottom and click on the gradient and hit on this color area and select my bluish, somewhere like this, and select a little bit of purple somewhere like that, which is a very powerful combination in terms of design. Okay, so I will hit OK, or I will just try and turn my knobs down a little, just freak around a little bit. So having done this, the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in the guy. Okay, I just limited my colors. The first rule is to less of colors, so I limited to 2 colors. Maybe white is going to be the next big thing that's going to happen. So I'm going to turn on my Bible layer once more and select the Bible layer, and perhaps increase it large enough to cover the first part of the design. Okay, the first part of the design. So what am I going to do after this? I'm going to fade it out so that it flows down into the background. How do I do that? I'm going to click on, while I'm clicking on this, I'm going to click on the mask to look at where my cursor is. I'll click on mask tool and click on brush and make sure I have at least my brush hardness at 0 and the size at 100 pixel or more. So I'm trying to increase my brush. I'm increasing it with the parenthesis open, so it's increasing the brush for me. So while it's this way, it's on white here, so my brush is not going to work. I'm going to hit on X to toggle this to black, so I can wipe off a little bit of this. Then while I'm done, I'm going to reduce the opacity a little bit more. Remember, this is a background, okay? In rare occasions will you have to, so we might decide to put this by the left or by this side or this side, but I feel the center is going to work better for us. Or let's just take it to the right where it is. So I take it to the right, and I'll clean off some more so that these edges are going to go off. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create those rectangles they created just by the side, but we're not going to write all the things they wrote. So I'm still going to limit it to just 2 colors. All right, let's not just have colors flying around everywhere. So I'm going to perhaps find a way and use maybe one of my purple colors around here. So this is what I have. I'll duplicate it because they have about 2 of it. So while I'm doing that, I'm also considering space. Okay, while you are having your design done, make sure you have enough space. So with this grid, I can reduce to have some space, right? I need to have some more space, and just select one of these and hit on Ctrl T to increase, to give me the areas I'm going to type the stuff I'm going to type when I'm ready to do the typing. So the second thing we have to do is to create the tagline. Okay, is to create the tagline. This is the tagline: 4 Sundays or 4 Warrior, whatever. So let me jump into this immediately. Look at number 4 of this item. Use numbers. Okay, use numbers. This guy would have just done 4 Warriors Sundays, whatever it is. So look at what we're going to do. We are going to remove all this, or we're going to just take away all this and just use the number 4. So we'll just type 4, right? 4 as a number. Okay. When we have 4 as a number, okay, so it's good to have 4 numbers. They really do wonders. So instead of writing 4, typing 4 as a text, you just use 4 as a number. So which font is better for me at this case? I'm going to use font that is a little bit relaxed, some font that is not too serious. Maybe as a font I wanted to check out, Afterglow on thefont.com. okay, it's a little bit tacky, so let's just use a straight font. Maybe you check Bebas, so let's use Bebas. Okay, it's a little bit more straightforward. Then we're going to apply white so it can throw back the design at us, so it doesn't go all moody and stuff like that. So I'll duplicate it so I'll be able to use the same font to type Sundays. Let's use of super, right? Natural. So Sundays of Supernatural. Let's just make use of Sundays of Supernatural. Okay, so I'm going to do this, right? Yeah, so Supernatural is a little bit tall, long. So let's place this here, okay, and perhaps reduce our 4. Quickly, I'm going to work on the spacing between these 2 objects. Okay, let me just shorten what we have below so that when I'm going to increase the spaces, it's going to balance. Okay, balance is what we're talking about. So it's looking a little bit balanced right now. So I'm going to go back to my text panel and increase the space and bring down the space, right? And work on the spacing between the 2 letters, right? So now I've done that. Sorry, this keeps going back whenever I will get this. So okay, so this is it, 4 Sundays of Supernatural. We just kept it here, having our 4, the hand of the 4 at the same base with the Supernatural. And the next thing we are going to write is the tag of the program. Which is waging war with the world. Waging war with the world. So what is the major caption in this thing? Waging war with the world. So the word was made big. Fine, we're going to make use of it the same way it is. Okay, so let's do waging war. Waging war. Okay, so waging war. So this, okay, we are going to keep it and let's make use of a different font. I'm going to make use of Montserrat. In this case, the font that has family. Montserrat is on Google Font. It's very easy to download. Go to google.fonts, fonts.google to download Waging War, and I'm going to write word here. So I'm going to write word. So I'm making use of almost more serious fonts this time around. Okay, Waging War with the world. Okay, still looking at this, don't you think we should add a little bit of swag text to this? Maybe Waging War. So all my stuff are in caps, so I'm going to remove it from caps so it goes into smaller letters. So Waging War with the world. Okay, it's a little bit of more serious atmosphere. So I'm going to look for maybe some okay, I think we are good this way. Yeah, I think we are good this way because I was thinking of adding some cursiveness to it, but I think we are good this way. So I'm gonna reduce this, change maybe the size of my fonts. So, you know, I'll keep it so all of them are touching the same stuff. So remember, we've not written with the word. So we are writing with the, okay? Waging war with the world. Okay, so this is awesome right here. So now we are still going to shift what we have. We're going to shift what we have right here, and instead of let's make it capital all caps. So instead of, you know, trying to figure out this, how they did theirs and stuff, we're going to take our own and slant it up like that. Okay, and move it down. Hold down your shift in case yours doesn't work this way, but it looks a little bit tiny, don't you think so? Okay, let's make it a little bit thicker. Let's thicken it a little bit so we can see what's going on. Well, it still looks very small, so let's add some little swag to it. So I'm going to cut the letter W and place my with the word over it. So this is where creativity comes in. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to mask the word and hit on this selection tool and draw a line, draw it over the W alone, and hit on Ctrl I. It inverts it. Okay, so I will hit on Ctrl D to pull it out for me, and I'm going to turn it right back using Shift so that it maintains the line for me, and I'm going to place just my text right here. So I'm going to take it up a little bit so it completes the word for me. So right here I'm going to group all this so that it will be easy for us to move it around. So this is the major tag, so that is the major thing we are going to see. So now we are not going to allow it to encroach into the space of this. Do you understand? So we are going to keep it so it maintains the line this has, you know, across the four. Okay, so waging war with the word. So the next thing we're going to place is the circle just by the right hand side, of the design. Okay, so let's get the circle already. Okay, click on the same place we got for the rectangle and create a circle just by the side. Now your shapes are allowed to cross the boundaries, right? Your shapes are allowed to cross the boundaries. Now if this is also important, you can increase it to at least, you know, cut across this part a little bit. Then we're going to make it white. The inside is going to be white. Then I'm going to duplicate it and increase the size, holding Ctrl T and holding Ctrl Shift and Alt. So I will increase the size within the same area, so it doesn't move out. So I will bring it down by doing Ctrl inverted comma open and pick this color. Double click on this icon here and pick this color, so it gives me the background they had. So I'm going to still bring it down so it doesn't look so big and there's no space, holding down my shift so it maintains the aspect ratio. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type on it. So let me create my text box, and just a dummy text is going to appear, which I'm going to increase the size to fit what I'm about to write on it. So I'm going to justify towards, let me put a color so we can see it, and the color we are permitted to put is this purple, or we can do a darker purple or black. Okay, so we can't put this way. We can only put from the right to left. So we'll go to paragraph and place from right to left, and make sure it doesn't cross this boundary here. So now in this case, it looks like though if it crosses, nothing is going to go wrong, but let it not cross the last margin. Okay, so you can keep it here fine, because we have another object that is able to introduce another boundary. Do you understand? I talked about it in the previous video. You might as well check it out. This object is here to introduce another boundary. So look at it. Okay, it would have been here, but it will look too close to the border. So taking it back gives you enough space around this angle. So this is what we have here. Up and down, we know there is breathing space, equal breathing spaces here and there. So the next thing in this design is the name of the church organization and their tagline. So that is the location where the stuff is going to happen. So I'm going to stretch this out, the location of the church. I'm going to pull this back in. Now we are moving again. We are not going to have the alignment moving towards this angle this time around. Okay, we will now decide to move it from left to right, because that is where our waging war started, and it is well centralized at this point. So we can only do it this way for now, and maybe keep it just a few lines below, or we'll still have the same space we have here. We'll give the same space here to strike the balance. So I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change the color to white. Okay, change the color to white. So the next thing I'm going to have is, maybe if the church has a logo, we can as well put it here. So let me assume the church has a logo. We'll just reduce this a little bit. All right, on the same line with this, so, and create the church logo just like what we have in their artwork that we look at while doing our design. Okay, so this is what we have right now. Okay, which is good enough. So I'm taking this again to develop the church tagline just at the bottom. So take a very close look at this. I'm going to reduce this. Okay, just like that. So I can create the tagline just on that. Maybe Jesus is Lord, or whatever it is, a company, whatever. So now I can place it just below the margin. You see the margin, this blue line will have just below the margin. And but if I have this line on the margin, I can't place it below the text on this alignment, just by this side. So you observe, we align with alignment. We take reference from an alignment that already been done. So we check the bottom of this and take our alignment from it using our ruler. See where the ruler comes to play. So using our ruler, still having this here, using our ruler. So we'll take alignment, and we'll take alignment from this point, and that will be all for our design. So this is the basic thing you need to do. Maybe before you now start adding more colors and textures and a fizzy to the design, you have already solved the major problem, which is structure. So let me remove all my alignment kits, all my guides and rulers and stuff. Let's see how this design looks, so we can forge ahead. So I'm removing it right now. So see how design looks much clean and organized, everything in its place. Okay, so that I've covered all this. Now the using the numbers I've talked about, that using the image, the image that talks about what you are working around, and keeping your design very clean with a very simple colors and background. Talking about colors, I'm still working in depth on how we can make use of colors intensively, or rather extensively, however, whatever the case may be. So now talking about contrast, I did a lot of emphasis on contrast. Contrast doesn't only talk about the word, the colors and stuff. Now contrast is trying to explain it in this context. If I try to put a color that doesn't fall out of the yellow, for example, I'm going to be selecting I'm going to select a color that looks like yellow, or maybe I'm trying to use red for this. It's going to be very poor. So it's good to know colors that complement each other, colors that are triadial to each other, monochromatic colors and the rest of them. So you can know how you can balance out colors. So it's always good to have the darker color behind and the brighter color in front. Darker color behind, the brighter color in the front of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have a good contrast, or you have the darker color at the front to make sure whatever you put behind is going to be bright. So I'm going to put either white, and in this case white is going to work and fit perfectly because white is a neutral color. It fits everywhere. So far the color is very dark. That's actually the foundation of contrast, white and black. So this word, if I select and I decide to put maybe the same color as I have here, it's not going to work. It's going to look very poor and unprofessional. It's going to look very poor and unprofessional. Take a look at that. Take a look at that. Take a look at that. Okay, so in cases where I have to, anyway, this class is still very, because there are a lot of things to consider, but this is the basic thing. Limit your font selection. Now look at, I made use of almost one font except this in all this design. You don't need to make use of more fonts. I can decide in this same waging war to select perhaps a cursive font for it, or something that will just add a little vibe to it, a little vibe of churchiness, some stuff to it. The name of this font is Hunter, the Waging War font. I downloaded it from dafont.com, dafont.com. So go to the site and check out if you can see it and download for your use. So you see the font I used for this. Okay, see the font I used for this. Very awesome font. I would love to bring this down a little bit to have a good space between this and this. So that's cool. So I can decide to make this more contrasting, selecting back my gradients panel and reducing the brightness right here to pop out, to give more attitude and more pop to my color and drive this way, So you see what we have here. Is it not beautiful? Now having those flowers, I'm sure you know for now they are not necessary. I can as well duplicate this more and increase the size of this circle, hitting Ctrl J and holding Shift and Alt to increase this, and bring it down with parentheses open, and maybe add a little more darker color shades to it to give it more more look, give it more look. So this is simple. I have to leave it as simple as possible so we can everybody can easily relate. Okay, so having known this, keep your font selections very limited. Make sure you have contrast in form of emphasis and scales and size and whatever. Make sure you use numbers to relate to things that has to do directly with numbers. Use images that will talk about what you're doing. I've already talked about how you can make use of images in the previous class, and use less of elements. Okay, now less of elements, I have to use just these two items I have here, the circles. Those are the things I use. So it will be wrong for me to have a circle here, and somewhere around here I have another circle, somewhere around here I have another circle, and I have everything all circled out like the planet. Please desist from that. So right now, thank you so much for being in this class. More questions, just drop them. I'm going to make awesome and exciting tutorials for you. Thank you so much for watching and staying to hotspot to this time. Congratulations. You can now enjoy your grid and make exploits with it. Thank you so much.